Hi guys, Autumn Beckman here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I have an interesting vlog. It has absolutely nothing to do with handbags. It's all about photography and fun. We're on an overnight photo shoot at this abandoned haunted hospital. It's in Yorktown, Texas. It's called Yorktown Memorial Hospital. Google it and you'll see what I'm talking about. And yeah, we're gonna stay here overnight and do some light painting and play around with photography, and I'm gonna show you some of that, and maybe we'll see some ghosts too, who knows.
That was a surprise.
Here's the group of photographers we're going with. We just got here and they're all setting up to get pictures of the front of the hospital. Well, we just had our first paranormal experience, or possible paranormal experience. I've never had an experience like that. You see this headlamp on my head? I bought this specifically for this photo shoot because there's no electricity at all and we're shooting after dark, so it is pitch black when you don't have any light. And we have flashlights, but then you're trying to work your camera and then holding a flashlight and trying to do light painting, and that just doesn't work very well, so you end up with a flashlight in your mouth. That's not cool. So I bought the headlamp, and I knew I had packed it. I knew I had, but when we were getting all the equipment out of the car, I could not find it, and I went through all 3 of the bags that I'm carrying 4 different times, could not find it. We just found this little room to do some practice light painting in, and I opened up one of the bags and this light was on inside the bag. And it was not on earlier. Ooh. Ooh, that was a ghost. I'm gonna show you where it was so you'll see how difficult it would have been just to press. The button is right here on the side, and it's hard to get to even when it's out like this, but let me show you. Can you turn around and point your light at the table? So it was inside this bag, which was zipped up, and it's an insulated bag, so it's thick. So it was zipped up like that. We were carrying around zipped up. That's why I couldn't see the light on inside. I unzipped the bag and there was a light, and I had it inside this Henry Bendel dust bag, and this bag was glowing. We're in the basement of the hospital, and we came to shoot this, which is, can you shine your light? Or I've got a light too. We came to shoot this thing, which is this big cage where we assume they kept like psychiatric patients maybe who were violent. It's pretty strange. The boyfriend worked in the medical field. He's right there. Wait, he's right over there. And he said it was really jarring. Look at those cool shadows up there. Said it was really jarring to come in here and find a cage like this in the hospital. And look, I mean, these are thick iron bars. It's pretty serious stuff. And there's a sink in here, and inside the sink there's a broken baby doll. They have the whole hospital staged with props like these chairs and things, and on one hand it's kind of cool. It gives you some stuff to photograph. Sorry. But on the other hand, it's a little hokey, you know, because some of it like this desk, which is really cool, you can tell is most likely original to the hospital, but a lot of it just feels staged. That little stamp holder, it's pretty cool. Spooky.
And you may never hear from us again.
Yes. This may be the last vlog ever. Unfortunately, that's all the footage I have from that night. Here's what happened. You saw in the video that I was bundled up, but what you couldn't see was how cold it was. It was in the high 30s. And when we got there, we spent a good half an hour outside waiting for people to sign waivers and waiting for people to get pictures of the front of the building, and then taking a group photo after dark and waiting for the caretaker to give us some safety information. We were already freezing by the time we went in. It was also sleeting. It was very light, but still there was a dampness that made it even worse. Once we got in, I thought, well, it's still gonna be cold because there's no heat or anything, and there were a lot of broken windows. You may have seen that in that first shot where I panned down of the front of the building. But I thought at least we'll be out of the breeze, so it'll feel a little better. It didn't. Almost every room, everywhere we went, had broken windows. The breeze was coming through from those, and the cold, and sometimes the sleet. You could see your breath, of course. I don't know why that didn't come across in the video, but you definitely could see your breath. We just got more and more miserable. We only spent about 2 hours there and then left. I was so disappointed because I had been looking forward to this for a month or two, and I had done all kinds of research, and I had planning. I had looked at research of the hospital and seen some video and figured out some places that I wanted to shoot. I did a lot of research on light painting to get some new techniques I wanted to try. We did get to do some of that. That little room you saw us in, where I was standing next to a sink, that was a patient room. That was where I found my headlamp. So we went in there and closed the door. It was one of the only rooms we could find that did not have a broken window. So it was a little bit warmer, but not much. We were still pretty miserable. My fingers, you saw I had fingerless gloves on so I could work my equipment. My fingers were like icicles, and so were my toes, even though I was wearing thick insulated boots. I had fleece-lined leggings under my jeans. I had 3 shirts under my jacket, plus a hat and my coat. I should have been warm, and I was thinking, we knew going in that it was going to be cold and wet, but I was thinking, well, I've lived in New York, I can handle this, but I couldn't. And it was really disappointing because I was really looking forward to it. But we just got to a point where we were too miserable. And even though I had all these ideas and plans, I didn't have motivation to do them. And it's like my brain wasn't working. I wasn't coming up with anything to do. I think because my brain was frozen. We ended up spending the most time in that little room doing some experiments with glow sticks, which I had not used before. I teach light painting to my students, and we use different tools, but we hadn't used glow sticks in particular. So I was playing around with that. It wasn't really working the way I'd hoped it had. And then we spent the rest of our time, we spent some time walking around and seeing most of the hospital. Found some amazing stuff. There's a chapel that had this organ that was all weathered, and that was one of the things I most wanted to get pictures of. But it turned out to be right next to this huge window where there was a lot of broken glass, and it was just freezing there. And there were also several other photographers working in the same room. And when you're light painting, even if you're 20 feet away, your light affects their photos. So I didn't want to mess with other people's work. So we spent most of our time in that room doing the experimental light painting in the patient room, and then the rest of the time mostly in the room with the cage. That room was in the basement, and it was an interior room, so there were no windows, so it was a little bit warmer too. At least there was no breeze. It was still freezing. And I got one decent picture of the cage that I thought was okay. I was experimenting with some different things down there too that also didn't do quite what I wanted, and I could have played around with it longer, but I just didn't want to. But the one decent picture I got, it's not a fantastic photo, but it's all right. I put it up on my Instagram account if you want to go check that out. I'm Autumn Beckman there. What we kept talking about is that we wish we were there during the day, because even though we were both interested in light painting, and me so more than the boyfriend, there was a lot that we would rather have shot when there was daylight. There was so much to shoot. That hospital is incredible, but I don't think light painting is the ideal method to shoot that hospital. It's great for a few things, but to spend all night there wasn't enough light painting that we were interested in doing in that space. We really wanted to do things that were a little quicker. Light painting takes a lot of time because it's experimental, and you have to keep redoing it until you get it to be exactly what you envision. So what we decided is that we would go ahead and cut out early, even though it was disappointing, and we would go back in a warmer month. So what we're gonna do is try to go back and do a private tour, because they do group tours. You can rent the place to do paranormal investigations. You can rent it as a photography environment. So we're gonna see if we can go in, maybe just the two of us at some point in a few months, maybe spring break, maybe over the summer, and spend some daylight hours there. And then maybe a few evening hours after the sun goes down too, to try a few more light painting things when my brain is working. So if and when we do that, I will take you back there. I really wanted to take you on a tour of the hospital and do a lot more vlogging there, but it just did not work out that way. Trust me, I am the most disappointed one here. I was so looking forward to this. But we still had a great time. It was really fun, and we are looking forward to going back.